Frack on. Welcome to the Frack The Canon. I am joined here by my brother from another mother, the co-host with the most, Mr. CJ McCree from Milwaukee. What is up, good sir?
What's up? I am long time no see. But let's get into it. You know what I mean? F that. I'm ready to talk about some nerd crap.
We're talking about some Hawkeye. All right. So CJ, what did you think about Hawkeye? First of all, just in general, talk about the series. What did you think of the show in general?
Okay, so it's kind of, I think it's something I said to you a week or so ago. But to generally put my thoughts, I would say this is my second favorite Marvel Disney Plus show.
Mm-hmm.
And third favorite Disney Plus show in general. So second behind WandaVision.
Okay.
Second behind WandaVision, third behind WandaVision and The Mandalorian. I'd say.
Okay, interesting. I wasn't gonna count Star Wars stuff yet, but okay, I get that.
I mean, I'm just saying in general. There
general?
honestly aren't that many. You know, I mean, we're in the middle of Boba Fett, which I actually haven't watched yet. But so we'll see how that is. There's a bunch more Star Wars stuff to come, but sticking to Hawkeye. Basically, how I feel about it. I just found it enjoyable the whole way through. I don't think it's a perfect series. It was just a series that has had great action, has a fun story and great characters, and it's well acted in. You know what I mean? So it's just, as a package, it was something that week to week, episode to episode, minute to minute, I found myself enjoying the show. Like, you know what I mean? And like I said, it's not perfect. I didn't think that, I still like WandaVision more as a whole. I think as a whole, WandaVision has something that I really loved.
Right.
This show in a way of WandaVision, right? But I love this show in a different way. I just don't think it's as good, or what I mean, it pops as much as WandaVision, but it's an enjoyable show. So it's number 2 for me because it's just enjoyable on an enjoyment factor. I like the show.
It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of little moments of, that's kind of fun. And I like we were talking about earlier. I just had I enjoyed myself. Like you said too, it's not the perfect show. But for me, I guess what made that show fun, what I made me enjoy it, was Haley Steinfeld. Like that actress, I thought she was what's the word? I guess her joyfulness, her excitement,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. Her blasé, is it blasé? No, or just whatever attitude was just so much fun. That I'm like, I've always been a fan of that actress since True Grit. She's a good actress. I was Pitch Perfect, I saw Bumblebee, but I'm like, all right, I think I'm a fan now. I enjoyed her acting, but I think I'm a fan now of Haley Steinfeld. What did you think about her?
Yeah, I thought that she was one of the main reasons why I enjoyed the series so much. Her portrayal of the character. It's like I felt like I fell in love with her immediately almost. You know what I mean? And it was oh man, at first I was like, oh, okay, well, it's cool we're getting her origin, but I'm watching Hawkeye to watch Hawkeye, you know what I mean? See what he's up to. But it was we were starting to get so much of her. And then right around the time we got her kind of first fight scene as Ronin, you know what I mean? When she put on the suit, and it was just this kind of she was very skilled, but it was still clumsy, you know what I mean? But she's still taking on all these dudes, and it's just I was like, okay, this is great, this is awesome, actually, this is pretty fun. And I just love that whole dynamic of her being this kind of fan girl, really big fan, but also very capable herself, someone who is inspired by what Hawkeye did, but at the heart, someone being this really basically just a fangirl who got to meet her hero and eventually endear her hero to her, you know what I mean, in the same way that she kind of endeared herself to the audience.
You think there was this moment that she says,
when I was younger, aliens invaded, and I was terrified. But then I saw you. Fighting aliens with a stick and a string. I saw you jump from that building even though you can't fly. Even though you don't have superpowers. And I thought, if he could do that, then I didn't have to be scared. You showed me that being a hero isn't just for people who can fly or shoot lasers out of their hands. It is for anyone who is brave enough.
I'm that's why I made you appreciate. I'm I've never thought about it that way, That's kind of dope. That's kind of a cool reason to. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I still don't like him as a character. Like I'm still, my favorite Marvel character is still the X-Men, Spider-Man, and Daredevil. But okay, I see why you respect him. I don't agree with it, but the way she said it, though was so much fun. So now that we're talking about what do you think about the relationship between Clint and Katie and Kate? Like I thought it was like I just loved how he kept rubbing her the wrong way, and then I feel like we're partners. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it just made for great TV to watch, right? Like just these characters, because I could get how annoying that could be, like following Hawkeye, from Hawkeye's perspective, following around, or like her other side, from the other side, like it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity for her. Something she's like wished for her whole life. She just can't help but like be like too freaking excited for it. You know what I mean? Like, and just like trying gung ho, like just trying to like impress, but also like messing up too, in her endeavors to impress. But yeah, I love their whole dynamic. I love, I can't remember what episode it is, but it's the one where after they get caught by the tracksuit mafia, and they're kind of like on the run from them a bit, and like Hawkeye's hearing aid is gone, like broken or whatever. So like there's all these times when like she'll say to him and he can't hear it, but then he'll say something, like he'll say like the same thing, like they're like they're kind of like on the same page in a way, you know what I mean? Like without being on the same page, like he'll say like another thing like that she just said, you know what I mean? Like, but like he didn't hear what she said, he's just saying it, like, and I just kind of dug that, you know what I mean? Dug that they had this whole thing, and then later in that same episode when he's dealing with the same problem, and his son calls.
Daniel? Nathaniel? What are you doing, buddy? Is everything okay? Where's Mama? There might be a little delay, buddy. It's kind of a bad connection. You're bored. you're the early bird. Hey, but I miss you. Why don't you go get some breakfast and read a book or something until Mama wakes up?
Just that kind of touching moment, like just between them, you know what I mean? I thought it was great. I did like their dynamic a lot.
I thought that moment you said about him with calling talking to his son, that broke my heart. I'm like, oh my god, it's so adorable, it's so cute. That's like she could have been fracked up or whatever, but I'm like, no, that's kind of cool. That says to me a lot about that character. Like her interaction with everyone interacting with, like brought a smile to my face. I don't know. I think if you know about this, my other interaction is with Yelena. The first time they meet, actually, no, the first time, the apartment scene.
Kate Bishop. Hi. I made macaroni if you want some.
I'm sorry, what?
Well, I was starving and you took forever, so I wanted to make food.
Like, oh my god, these actresses, I could tell they're both having fun. I was having fun with them. I'm like, I don't know. What did you think about that? Like, what were your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's interesting because like those are two of like that I did not expect to watching the things that they were introduced in. Two of the characters that like I felt so hard for, like, you know what I mean? Like I did not expect to fall in love with the character of Kate Bishop watching Hawkeye. I knew that the character would be in there. I just took it as like, oh, it'll just be this, this character in the thing. I did not expect to fall in love with the character of Kate Bishop in Hawkeye. I did not expect to fall in love with the character of Yelena in Black Widow. You know what I mean? Like both these things happen though. You know what I mean? These characters, I couldn't believe how endeared I was to both of these characters. Like after watching those things, you know what I mean? Like Yelena, I think they did something great with her and Florence Pugh in Black Widow, and they've continued it here. And then the same thing with Haley Steinfeld. Like you said before, Haley Steinfeld's just a great actress, but what they did with her in this role, you know what I mean, is wonderful. Like, and she plays it wonderfully. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like I can't believe like I can get behind. I usually can't get behind like rich girl problems, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the main character, it's just a rich girl, you know what I mean? Like, and she's got rich girl problems, but this character somehow, like, beyond that, like, this character spoke to me in a way, like, you know what I mean? I can understand her problems and her plight. in a way that it made me care. You know what I mean?
I concur, doctor. I don't know why I just call you doctor. I just like their interaction, the moments with with I guess for lack of a word, flirting with each other. Because I don't know what to call it because it seems like they were flirting, right?
Wait, which one? Which
Yelena and Kate Bishop, like in the kitchen, and then also the elevator scene. Also,
interesting. I didn't see it that way. I just saw it as like Yelena, Yelena could use a friend. That's what I saw that as. Like Yelena needs a girlfriend, but I didn't see it as in like a romantic like girlfriend. You know what I mean? She was like, yeah, we can go for a drink. You know what I mean? Like she just wants somebody to relate to. You know what I mean? Because her sister's gone, and you know what I mean. There's not many people in her life.
that was more as like because I make a word maybe putting the wrong word, but more like I respect you. Badass recognition, badass.
Okay.
Maybe one more that I don't know what to call it. Like what would you call it?
Got you. No, I see.
But bringing that up, I liked how Yelena, because I just like how this whole thing brought this whole to me it was a big moment. Like we find out she got hired to be to kill Clint Barton by what's her face, by Verma, right? But what is her name in the Eleanor, right? Ellen, right? That actress, she always plays the bad. She always plays bad. I think she ever played. I think I've ever seen her play a protagonist, a good character, for lack of a better word. And then we find out who she's working for, who she's working with.
Well, that's the guy I've been worried about this whole time. Kingpin.
And it's mother fracking Vincent D'Onofrio, aka the one true Kingpin. Now, my question to you is this: because when I was watching it, because I watched it a couple times, I'm like, all right, to me it reminded me of the Kingpin from Daredevil from the Netflix show. But I'm like, he didn't reference Daredevil, or any of the events around it. So I'm like, is that show canon in the MCU, or is this just a completely like? What do you think?
I'll put it like this: it's hard for me to say because it has been a while since I have watched the Netflix Daredevil. But when I originally watched the Hawkeye episode with him in it, there was something off. I couldn't remember. I said, "Is this the Kingpin that I know? Like, was he portraying it like this?" And I couldn't. There was something to me that felt a little foreign. Like it felt like unfamiliar. There was something that felt unfamiliar when I was watching it, and so I was just like, I don't. It might be a while since I've seen Daredevil, but I feel like this wasn't necessarily the performance that he was given there. You know what I mean? This to me felt slightly more over the top in some ways. You know what I mean? And not just the zany stuff that happened in the final battle. You know what I mean? Like just his performance. It just seemed a bit more grandiose. Like, whereas I felt like in the Daredevil show, like everything was a lot more subtle because it was like trying to be more gritty and real. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you said that it was more grandiose too, because even something that blew my mind, I'm like, I said this in the Spanish version. I'm like, I think this Kingpin is a mutant. And the reason why I said this is because motherfucker takes an arrow to the chest. He's like, whoa, like nothing's happening.
Exactly, dude.
And I'm like, what? Go ahead.
Some stuff like you have to explain, like, you know what I mean? Like if it's different, like you have to explain this. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you use the same actor, I feel like, you know what I mean? Like some stuff you can let go, but other things like it's like, okay, you can't just let go.
Because like at the end of the season, again, spoiler podcast, like muffle years. If you've been here this long, muffle years. He gets shot in the face by Echo. There is no body. So at least to me, if there's no body left after someone's shot or killed, quote unquote, they're still alive. And he's shot by Echo, who was his subordinate. Do you think he's really dead? And what we'll talk about Echo too. Like, do you think he was dead, or was he him again in the other MCU stuff? And what do you think about Echo's character?
Echo's character, whatever. All right, like whatever. Like she's got a show, so you know we'll see if that's awesome or whatever. It's not like I'm gonna watch it if it's it's not like I'm not gonna watch it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if it's on and nothing else is on Disney Plus, and watch it. But I mean, the king. What would they king? Would they kill? Would they kill the kingpin? Of course they would. You know what I mean? Like they could. But it's like I don't know why. Almost why would you introduce him right here just to do that? So I don't think they have killed him off. It's just it's just kind of a silly way to end this show. You know what I mean? I don't think this show did Echo's character any favors. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing about this show where I'm like, oh, I would like to see more of this character. Like, I don't care like about this character. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, sure. I'll take it. You're giving me more of this character, so whatever, I'll take it. You know what I mean? Like, but the show didn't do anything like that. Like if they were like tomorrow, if they were like, okay, we're doing a Yelena / Kate Bishop spinoff, you know what I mean? Buddy Cop spinoff. Like, I'd be so down, right? Like, I'd be really excited about that. But like, they didn't do anything. Like, Echo has had at least as much screen time as those other two characters that I just mentioned. You know what I mean? She's had at least that much screen time, and they have done nothing to make me want to see that character more.
I found her annoying as frack. I don't know why. She just rubbed me the wrong way. Maybe I don't know if the actors, I don't know what else, but I'm like, nothing, like you said, nothing about the character, about the performance. I'm like, I found her subordinate a lot more interesting. The guy that was interpreting for her was I don't know what I just said. Hopefully I didn't say it because it was his sign language.
Mhm.
I'm like, I find that dude a lot more charismatic, a lot more entertaining than Echo.
Okay, so let's bring back off of this, right?
All right.
So what did you think about, because we've basically been talking about in a roundabout way the show's villains,
Right.
antagonistic factor of the show. And there's so many like little different villains that there almost isn't a freaking villain. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean, like,
Yeah, because the main villain wasn't really a villain. She turned to the good guy at the end. So she
right?
kind of
Because there's
left.
like so much going on. You know what I mean? Like, there's like so much. It's like it's like almost every villain is almost a MacGuffin to themselves.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
yes.
Because it's like all right, well, this is happening, like, and then this creates these villains, and then these villains are also, you're also running because of this guy, and then this guy, and there's like, so there's no like I beat this person and like everything's like kind of like taken care of. It's just like all this little things, you know what I mean? So how did you feel about the villainous presence in the show?
I felt blasé about it. Like I'm like, there's no like I felt, to me the real villains were the Toxic Mafia, and it wasn't even Echo or Kingpin. It was the cousin, the interpreter, and below, because we saw them like they were the threat really, but they were also kind of like, I never felt endangered by them. I remember the final battle, like the final battle. She's fighting the one dude. She goes, "No, we need to go to see Magic Dragons. We have to go see whatever." Maroon 5. He goes, "All right, awesome, good for you." So then why then this? I'm like, that's funny, that's cool for that character, for Kate Bishop. Totally, I believe it. But there's no real threat. You know what I mean? Like freaking, I remember at the end they get taken away by the last two remaining get taken away by an owl.
What happens to them now?
I don't know. I'll have to ask Scott about that one.
I'm like, am I supposed to laugh right now or what? I felt, you know,
Exactly. Right. And it's I mean, it's like essentially they were putties, right? You know what I mean? Essentially they were the putties of the series. So like there's never a big bad monster, kind of, you know what I mean? There was just freaking putties that they fought the whole series. And but at the same time, like, they were funny enough that it's like I didn't really hate seeing them, you know what I mean? And they were like threatening enough to be bad guy fodder, you know what I mean? Like, threatening enough to show off some cool arrows. But like, yeah, like that's all they were kind of there for, was just to be kind of cannon fodder. They'd hop in and out of the story just for that. Whenever you needed sort of a manufactured threat, kind of.
yeah, because I was watching it again last night. I was just on the refrigerator, kind of seen it since Christmas, and I remember like this is a gang, right? But there's supposed to be a mafia. Like most from what I said, most gangs aren't that big or whatever. But all of a sudden, when they're fighting at the Rocket Center, there's like this like plethora of this like stampede of. I'm like, how many motherfuckers are in this gang? I'm like, how do you keep it quiet so much? You know, I'm like, to me, I'm like, there's too many people to be this gang to be a gang. If that makes any sense.
And like what there's like absolutely and this probably comes from pitch meeting, but it's like there's absolutely no police presence like at this at all. You know what I mean?
I mean the freaking tree gets taken down. I'm like, and no one like notices.
Right. Like what?
Um, like overall, that's I mean we've talked about this too. That's kind of Marvel's big issue is villains. Like overall, I thought this thing did a great job of for me showcasing Kate Bishop. It's called Hawkeye, and like we've said in previous episodes, it's a passing of the torch. It kind of felt like he was it wasn't a passing of the torch from Clint to Kate, but kind of like, all right, we're partners. You can also be Hawkeye. I guess Hawkeye Junior, Hawkeye Juniorette, whatever.
Right.
But I'm like, all right, this is a good showcase for Kate Bishop. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Young Avengers. But I'm like, it's my most enjoyable one, but to me my favorite is I think it's still WandaVision and then this one and then Hawkeye. But I'm like just like villains. It reminded me of Defenders. I'm like, so why did you cast Sigourney Weaver in this?
Right. So what are your thoughts on, because I've heard the criticism about basically they did the same thing that Batman v Superman did with Martha, but with the whistle.
How do you know that?
With that resolution.
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that too. The relationship. I didn't hate it.
Okay.
Because Natasha and Clint were close. They were family, right? I mean, for Frack's sakes, he named his kid after her, Nathaniel. So to me, it would make sense that he would talk to her, like they would know each other. Like they pretty much stop each other from dying. I've never heard of criticism till right now. I don't disagree with it. It's a fair. I think it's a fair assessment, but I'm like I don't hate it as much as I hated it in Batman v Superman.
In Batman v Superman. I think I brought that up specifically because like we've had conversations like this on the show before about how like there's something that DC will do and they'll get like murdered for it, and Marvel will turn around and do the same thing and almost be applauded for it. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's so funny. Like, because here's another thing. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, that's pretty much no different from Martha. It's just a whistle. You know what I mean? It's just a thing that he did.
But here's the thing, though. In because I'm a Marvel whore. And playing devil's advocate for Marvel, they set it up in the past, though. There is set up. There's precedence for that whistle. There is a precedence for Martha.
I suppose. Of course, but you know, my rebuttal to that turns into the criticism for Marvel, which is the fact that you have to watch all the crap. You know what I mean? Like freaking.
All right, but we are 10 years into Marvel's world now. I mean, if you don't know that, that's on you. You know.
I mean, yeah, sure. Hey, you know.
10
you had
10
to
years.
watch Black Widow.
I mean, who didn't? It made like $500 million on Disney Plus. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's true. Don't quote me. Don't sue me, please. But I just like it must be true, right? Like what else? I mean,
And it was a pandemic. What else were people watching?
exactly, right? It's like it's Marvel's world, man. Come on, we just live in it.
All right. So, what do you think of the actual Hawkeye suits they were wearing?
I thought it was kind of cool. I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool. It reminded me of the one from the comics. I'm like, this is very. Here's something that I've noticed, and I think we talked about this a little bit. It seems that when they first started during the Marvel movies, they were sticking to the Ultimate uniforms and costumes, and then slowly they've been kind of going to 616. Because if you remember, like his costume in Avengers is the Ultimate Hawkeye costume, and now it's the 616 universe. So I kind of like it. Like now it's more. It's the newer Hawkeye costume. And I did like that they referenced that too. He goes like, "My wife would divorce me if I wore that." When Katie's like, I don't know why I laughed, at that. But that made me chuckle really hard.
That's funny. Yeah, I would agree. Now, how do you feel about like the end story reason for the costume?
I didn't. What was the reason? I don't remember the reason.
What is it? No, she just had the LARPers make it.
That was kind of cool. I'm like, that makes sense. These guys would do it.
Mhm.
I didn't understand the reason to why they needed new costumes. I mean, I understood why she needed one. I didn't know why he needed one.
I mean, does he even need one? Is he even? Are we even going to keep seeing him as a Hawkeye? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, he does have a branding problem, according to Kate Bishop. Like, I did
Right.
love that though. I did love that. That like, she tried. Like, this is that one scene where she tells him that, like, it's kind of cool. Like, you think because you're cool, like mysterious and cool, and like you'd be cool. He goes, and you are, but we don't need that right now. And that to me hit me. I'm like, that is so true right now. Just in general over the world, like we need someone to be like, talk to me, listen to me. I'm like, and I don't know if that makes sense. I'm like, I agree with Kate Bishop's point of thing.
oh, for sure.
I mean, it was a lot more. It was a lot more. It was a kind of like a lighter shade of this, I guess.
Mhm.
I don't know, but I'm like, oh, that's cute. That's cool. It just bugged me that they have no, like, again. You've said it, I'm a comic book purist. They have no secret identities, like in the Marvel universe. I'm like, that's a kind of a big thing about, and quote unquote, get spoiled for No Way Home if you haven't seen it. That's kind of what Tobey Maguire gives. Like, that's kind of a big part of being a superhero. And I wish he would just have the mask, some sort of freaking mask to hide his face.
Well, it was a big part of them being a superhero. You know what
Right.
I mean? It was a big part of their movies. You know what I mean? Them keeping it from everybody. And now it is a part of this Peter Parker's reality as well.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see that going forward. He might be the only superhero with a secret identity going forward.
That's true, because something that caught my eye, even the first time watching it, was when they had the placard saying here on 2012 about New York, the Avenger first assembled, and it had Bruce Banner. I'm like, hold on, you know who the Hulk is, and no one's going after him for destroying Harlem and doing all that stuff before. You're gonna let it go?
Yeah, but like Bruce Banner doesn't really have a friggin' address though. You know what I mean? Like
That's
the
right.
last time we saw him in the MCU like residence, he was staying in like Stark Tower. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, he was
in
thinking
that in that mid-credit scene or whatever, he was like living in Stark Tower, and then in Avengers
Endgame.
Age of Ultron, we just kind of assume he's staying in Avengers Tower. You know what I mean? Like freaking.
That's true. That's a good point.
So it's like, yeah, he like doesn't, as far as anyone knows, he doesn't have a freaking address. Like nobody knows where he stays. I mean, the Avengers, they just took for granted the Avengers know where he is.
Touche. All right. Anything else? So what did you think? Yeah. So I think we're talking about that's it. Any other comments? Any other questions or concerns you want to talk about? That's all I got. Oh, I guess yeah. That's all I got that I want to talk about. Anything you want to talk about?
No, just echoing everything that we had to say about it. You know what I mean? Just, you know what I mean? I guess, I feel like the most disappointing thing was how I mean, we talked a bit about how they use Kingpin and stuff, but, I feel like the most disappointing thing about that was just about the show was how Kingpin was used, I feel like. Because I feel like Kingpin being in the show is the most exciting thing about that statement, unfortunately. You know what I mean? Just the fact that he was in the show is what? Oh my gosh, it's Kingpin, and he's the dude that was in him and the other, you know what I mean? Which is fine. But like in the grand scheme of it, you know what I mean? He was just another Ralph Boner, you know what I mean? Like,
you're not wrong. You are not wrong. That was funny. That was hilarious to me. Yeah, he really was. You know who he really was? He was Mephisto.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? He may as well. But I mean, it's just saying, like, and that's not to say that, like, in the future, he won't be, like, the big, bad, awesome Kingpin that we all want him to be. But as far as what they gave us in Hawkeye, you know what I mean? Like,
I'll
he was
say
just
this
Ralph Boner, you know what I mean? A dude, an actor who was playing the same guy he was in another thing. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm just a dude playing another dude with another dude.
you know.
I'll say this: I felt that he was treated better Vincent D'Onofrio was treated better than Sigourney Weaver was in Defenders. I'll say that. But it's just a villain problem that Marvel has since movie 1, since Iron Man. I'm like, it's the evil villain kind of thing, for the most part.
Right, the evil version of them kind of thing, or the bad version.
Yep. Alrighty, I guess that's it then, right? For our final Frack talk.
Yeah, on Hawkeye.
Alrighty. Well, thank you, CJ. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for nerding out with me about this Hawkeye stuff. We'll see you same fracking time, same fracking channel. Frack off.